new series of Bible study based on the book Bible Basics for Catholics by Dr. John Bergsma. Today, we are going to see the covenant with David. In the book of Judges, we see that after Joshua and his successors, Israelites plunged over a turmoil for several hundred years. They fall into a cycle of sin against God. Sin, suffering, sorrow, and salvation. God puts a judge or a leader in each time to bring back them to salvation. But the cycle repeats as the person or judge dies. They turn against the God. The first book of Samuel starts with a long account of the last judge, a certain prophet named Samuel, who oversees a very important role in the transition of lives of Israelites. By the increased demand from the people to have a king instead of judges and leaders, Samuel appoints Saul. But after some time, due to some flawness in his life, Samuel was forced to find a new king. Here comes our person, David. The name of David in Hebrew means beloved one. The name is very much appropriate to David as he became the beloved one to God and he became the beloved king and poet to Israelites. In the first book of Samuel, chapter 16, we can see the prophet Samuel is on a specific mission given by God to find a new king for Israelites. And when he finds David, God tells him, "This is the one, anoint him." We can summarize David's greatness mainly into three categories: liturgical, political, eschatological. Eschatological means he symbolizes God's men in his life. This empire reached its greatest height under the son of David, Solomon. Politically, David was a skillful warrior and a powerful general who reunites 12 tribes of Israel. The upbringing of the city Jerusalem is also his master plan. Or otherwise we can simply say, without David, there will not be place for Jerusalem in the Bible. He brings the Ark of Covenant to his capital, Jerusalem. Liturgically, he was a reformer who practiced what he preached. He introduced music and singing into worship. While Moses preferred silent prayers, David used songs and hymns in the worship. He is also a famous poet, a famous singer among Israelites. Many of the psalms were written by him or by the people who are inspired by the way he is worshipping God. Finally, David was a sign of Jesus Christ. The word Christ is from the Greek translation of the Hebrew word Messiah, which means the anointed one. David was anointed with spirit and oil. This anointing given him the power to cast out demons. And that's why when Jesus was casting out demons, people ask, this is the son of David? David was also a suffering king like Jesus. In the beginning, from the king Saul, and in the later stages of his life, from his son Absalom. David wrote about these sufferings in the book of Psalms, and many of these Psalms were not only the indication of his sufferings, but also the prophecies about the sufferings of Jesus Christ. In another perspective, we can say David is so much important in the Bible because God made a covenant with David. David began to feel bad as he lived in a lavish palace in Jerusalem, while the tabernacle was just in a tent. To bring the tabernacle to Jerusalem, discussed it with his friend and prophet Nathan. We can see the reply from God to Nathan. If we carefully read, we can understand a great wordplay and a hint about Jesus Christ is given by God. In one sense, God's reply can be summarized as, "What? You will build me a house? No, I will build you a house." What is that? The wordplay which I mentioned earlier is about house and about offspring or seed. First we can take house. David wants to build God a house or temple, but God promises to build a house or dynasty. Let us take note on the promise of great name. We have not seen this promise since Abraham. There is a strong connection between Abrahamic covenant and Davidic covenant. Now the term seed, which also can be seen in Abrahamic covenant. In both covenants, in Abrahamic covenant and Davidic covenant, the seed points to Jesus Christ. And God is reassuring the sonship which was broken when Israel starts worshipping pagan gods. To summarize Davidic covenant, God promises David a person who builds God's temple, a person who is God's own son, and a king who rules over Israel. And these covenants are given on the mountaintop Zion. Since Davidic covenant is so tied up with the temple, we should add in this picture as well. Now let us fit Davidic covenant into our salvation history. Psalms 89 says, "I will make him the firstborn, the highest of kings in earth," which reminds us that of Adam and Israel. Or simply, now David is the new Adam and he is the king of Israel. It is less known that David is also a priest. Psalm 110 says, "David and his successors, you are a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek." Who is Melchizedek? He was a priest king who ruled Jerusalem at the time of Abraham. At that time, Jerusalem was called Salem. And David became the heir and successor of Melchizedek when he became the king of Jerusalem. And all the rights and privileges of Melchizedek are now the rights and privileges of David. That's why we see David offering sacrifices, blessing the people, etc. Finally, David was a sort of bridegroom for the people of Israel. The most important hint is given in the Bible when the people of Israel came before David to appoint him as a king. They said, "Behold, we are your bone and flesh." The term bone and flesh is used only for Adam and Eve and for David. Another hint in the Bible for showing David is the bridegroom is when his son Absalom tries to drive out David from Jerusalem. He says, "Let me choose 12,000 men, and I will set out and pursue David tonight. I will strike down the king only, and I will bring all the people back to you, as a bride comes to home to her husband." David looks like Adam, and he is the image of Jesus Christ. Davidic covenant represents a step of progress in the salvation history. Adam had a divine sonship and lost it. Israel was offered it, they rejected it, and now God calls David to sonship. So far, we have seen Adamic covenant, Noahic covenant, Abrahamic covenant, Mosaic covenant, and Davidic covenant. In the next episode, we are going to see the covenant with different prophets. Thank you.